we go. You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called Homeopathy on Air, and it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio Heidi Beck from Thrive Homeopathy in Napier. How are you going, Heidi?
Very well, Ken. Thank you.
And we have a special guest in the studio today with us. Introduce our guest, please, Heidi.
Yes, I brought along Jennifer Heath from Pearls. She has these fabulous freshwater pearls, and that's how we got to know each other. And one day, she turned out to be a client of mine, so I thought we'd bring her along and ask her a few questions about homeopathy.
The real oil.
Yeah.
Before we get there, though, just remind our listeners, Heidi, we want to come and see you at Thrive Homeopathy. Where are you?
I'm still on Napier Hill in number 1 Lambton Road, and I've been practicing there for about 6 years now.
And we bowl up, we've made an appointment with you. Tell us what happens when we come through the door.
Well, first of all, you walk into a very lovely clinic space that will just make you feel comfortable and at home. So you have the environment and the security to share about your physical complaints, be them embarrassing or not. It's really hard for some people to open up and talk about things that are going on, but then also the safe environment for mental, emotional feelings, thoughts, all that has to be shared in a comfortable space.
And each appointment lasts, well, the first appointment at least lasts for about an hour, doesn't it?
Oh, at least. It's more 1.5 hours, sometimes even 2.
Now, you're a registered homeopath.
Yes.
What's the difference between being registered and not?
Well, in New Zealand, there is no law that you have to be registered, you know, like a master builder, so anyone can study homeopathy and basically say they're a homeopath. But then we do have the New Zealand Council of Homeopathy, and if you want to be a registered member with that, then there's a registration process that you have to go through, and that is sort of to establish the code of ethics that you know how to safe practice, that you prove you have certain qualification, that you keep up with ongoing education, so you're
always up to speed.
Yeah. You have the support of a community, so the council provides you with information, scientific and support, but is also a backup for clients or patients, that if you have a complaint procedure, then a registered homeopath, you can follow the steps and go through that.
Might it be fair to say there's not an ailment that homeopathy can't help?
Well, in some way or another, because homeopathy is for the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So let's say it can't help with one, it's definitely going to help with the other. So there's always a little bit of a shift that can happen.
Now it's a great time to introduce our guest, Jennifer. And you went to see Heidi, and I might suggest to you, Jennifer, that in the main, most people would think homeopathy is a bit like black magic or voodoo. That's just that's what greenies do. Are you a greenie?
No, well, I really didn't know very much about it, so I wanted to learn. I was intrigued. I know that Heidi had done quite an extensive study in it, and when she started to share her knowledge, I was really interested. I'm always interested in alternatives to mainstream medicine, and I thought that she was very knowledgeable, and I looked forward to learning more. So when I heard about her first aid course that she was doing, I decided to enroll and do that, and I have no regrets.
So what was wrong with mainstream medicine that you might go over to the dark side? Like a witch's brew. But obviously you weren't happy with it, or you just wanted to be a bit more natural?
I prefer to be more natural.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that the antibiotics, it's, everybody knows that there's issues in science with antibiotics and becoming immune to them. So I think if you can do a homeopathic remedy or a natural remedy of some sort as an alternative, that it's safer and better, and that's why I wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, had you tried homeopathy before you saw Heidi, or was this your first dip?
No, I had never. I actually had a friend that was looking. I lived in Fiji for 22 years. I had a friend that was looking for some arnica. She asked me to pick up arnica for her and bring it with me when I came. So I knew that Heidi was doing homeopathy, and I contacted her and asked her for some, if she had it in cream form. And that's when we had this conversation, and
Yeah, just
so it started with arnica. Yeah, a lot of people know about arnica.
Yeah.
A lot of people know about rescue remedy, but there's so much more to it than that. So it was.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did learn more.
So first of all, you get something for your friend, and then what happened? You went back. Why did you go back?
Oh, I went back and did the course
Yes.
when I came back, because in the course of getting the arnica for my friend, and also I got some additional. I got a rescue remedy, and what was the
Hypercal.
Hypercal, which is an antiseptic in the islands. It's really important to have an antiseptic because we have so many. A little scratch can turn into something huge in no time at all with the humidity and funguses and so forth. So, as we had talked about it, and I came back and did the course.
Are those courses well attended, Heidi? I mean,
Well, yes. The funny thing is, I get asked so often, "Can you do another course? Another course?" It's finding a time that suits people. When I do give them, I limit to about 10 people, so that it is a very private group setting that everyone can ask all the questions. I give lots and lots of case examples, so that it really helps to associate what remedy and experiences, makes it easier for people to remember. And a little bit more understanding about the history of homeopathy, and what else?
How
they're made.
How they're made. The history was fascinating, and the way that it's accepted in countries.
Yes, in other countries. And so.
why do you think it's not accepted here, Jennifer?
I think it's just not known well enough yet. It's relatively new to New Zealand. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I had not really heard much about homeopathy before.
Yeah. So.
Did you tell your friends you went to see Heidi?
Yes, and I was surprised how many people have actually done a little bit of homeopathy or know a bit here and there. So it's more widely known than I realized.
Yeah.
Have you used the homeopathic remedies out of your first aid kit for anything that we might relate to?
Sure. I think the first case was it
Your daughter?
My daughter had food poisoning. She called me. She was house sitting, and she called me at about 6 o'clock. Well, I turned on my phone at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had about 8 messages that I had missed. Both, on Messenger, I had text messages and I had phone calls, and I was, normally leave my phone on. And she had been violently ill all night and wanted her mommy.
Yeah, as you do.
Yes, you do. And so I got right into the car, and I remembered on the way that I grabbed my homeopathic kit, and I remembered that Heidi had shared a situation with her son and said what he had taken. So I remembered that and looked at my little cheat sheet, and I started giving her the remedy. And sure enough, within about a half an hour, she started to settle, and she fell into a deep sleep, and she woke up and she was fine after that.
You've got loads of stories like that, haven't you?
I do, yes. But that's why I thought I'd actually bring someone who can verify my stories, because how can people know that I'm not just making them up? But honestly...
Am I your first radio broadcast with a person who's...
No, you're second. So last month we already had someone come, and it works. The thing is that you just have to find the right remedy, and I think that's the problem. People often want the quick fix. They come, get the remedy, and it doesn't resolve everything immediately. And because they're in doubt that this little white pill could actually do anything, that is then a confirmation that homeopathy doesn't work. But the problem is we have so many remedies. We have 3,000-4,000 remedies. And to get it right, because homeopathy treats the person with the illness as opposed to treating the illness. So pharmaceutical drugs will deal with the vomiting or the diarrhea. It's basically corking you up, right? So it's not dealing with why you're sick. Homeopathy is treating you and stimulating you so that you can sort yourself out. So if you don't get that right the first go, people tend to give up if they don't really believe in homeopathy. But if you persist and you do get it right, it's magic. It really can work quickly on acute illness. For example, vomiting or diarrhea or a cough or a fever. Those are short-lived acute illnesses, and the right remedy will work very, very quickly. Chronic illness will take longer, obviously. Yeah.
Were you surprised, Jennifer, that there are nearly 4,000 different remedies? And what was your expectation when you went through the door? I mean, when I first heard about homeopathy, was through Heidi actually, when she came here, I thought it was going to be like potions that you ground up on a pestle and mortar, and then you put some water with it, and that was, oh my God, you know. So what was your expectation when you went through the door? Probably much more civilized than mine, I suppose.
Well, I don't really know. I didn't realize that they were that homeopathy was a little pillule that you put under your tongue or dissolve in water, and how many remedies there are. And you got to see Heidi, and she opens up her cabinet, and there's books and books of them that she opens up with all these little vials in them, and it's fascinating. And when you've done the course and you can see how it's made, that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah.
But probably going with what Heidi was saying about how knowing that an illness, if you don't get the right remedy, you have to maybe try another remedy. One of the most outstanding things that happened to me with Heidi was that I had this horrific cough that had kept me awake, and I happened to bump into Heidi someplace, and I said, I have had this cough. Never thought to call her and ask her for help, and it hasn't stopped, and I haven't slept in 6 nights. And she said, well, come and see me. And so we had a long talk, and it's quite extensive. She has a lot of questions. She wants to know everything about the mucus and what's happening. What does it happen the second your head hits the pillow, or is it when is it happening at day? Is it happening at 3 o'clock in the morning? Is it happening whatever? And so we tried one remedy, and it sort of helped a little bit, but it wasn't gone. And she said, I don't think that's the right one, because when we get the right remedy, it's going to go right away. And I was still coughing at night. I woke up, a couple of times that night. And so we tried another one. We went through 3 different remedies before we got it. But you have to understand that a cold is evolving too. And so, it starts with that drip down the back of your throat, and then you become congested. And then, so she was just so helpful to me, and just walked me through every step of the way. And the 3rd time that we did it, I took one pillule in your office, and I got home and I put it into water. I never coughed again. It was one of those coughs that is going to linger for months afterwards, and if you took antibiotics, you'd never get rid of it. But it was gone immediately, just like she said it would be, and I was fascinated. That, and also the other remedy that she gave me before that was my hay fever. And I had struggled with that for a couple of years, three, maybe 4 years altogether, before I thought about using the homeopathy for it. And she suggested that I take something. It not only fixed the hay fever short term, I've never had hay fever since. It's gone.
It almost sounds too good to be true, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm a big fan now, but sometimes I forget about homeopathy. We've had a discussion this morning on the way here, and she's made me think, well, why don't you think about homeopathy more often for other types of things?
Yes,
that is a good point. I wonder though, Heidi, that people listening to Jennifer saying, wow, it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
Does it work for everyone?
In theory, I think yes, but as I said, the challenge is getting that right match. People seem to be a bit more patient with their doctors. They get a painkiller, it doesn't work, they go back, they get another painkiller, they get a steroid, it doesn't work, they get antibiotics, it doesn't, they keep going back and getting more and just collecting, and they're okay with that. You go see a homeopath, you get one remedy, it doesn't work, I don't know, get a second one, still not quite there, then they give up on homeopathy. And I think that's a bit of a shame, because it might take 3, might take 4, but then when you get it, you will actually be that much better.
Interesting that you went back 3 times. I mean, if I went to my doctor and I had a cough, and he said, well, take this home and take them all, I would just do that. And if I wasn't getting any better, I think, oh well, it's just got to take its time, and these are the pills for me. Why did you go back 3 times? Did you go back consciously, or did Heidi ring you up and say, hey, getting on?
She wanted to know, and she encourages you to be in touch and let you know, and reminds you that if it isn't the right remedy, there is going to be another remedy that will work. And so you develop a relationship with Heidi. She gives you her phone number, and you text her and you say, I woke up coughing, and she calls you back and says, well, let's try this instead and see if this works. So you don't have that kind of relationship with a doctor.
You don't.
And
did that surprise you that she has that holistic approach to you?
It was so refreshing. I feel like I have a friend that I can call when I have a health issue, and she's going to help me, and walk me through it. Your doctor, you just feel like it's all about the money, and there's always side effects to whatever you take. You take antibiotics, there's a side effect. Your gut what is it called? Your microbiome is destroyed by the antibiotics, and then you end up with a yeast infection, and
the list goes on.
Homeopathy is actually so much better.
Yeah.
Have you made the switch? I mean, would you now look at Heidi as your first port of call for a sickness moving forward, or would you still go to your traditional doctor first?
I think it depends on what it is, but I probably would go to Heidi first.
Do you find that, Heidi? That's what people are doing?
Well, I'm not here to advocate stop seeing your doctor. On the contrary, like even this morning when we were talking about other family members, I said, no, actually, do go to the doctor, get your diagnosis, get your results. Then we can always decide, is it required to take certain medication, or can we hold off and try something natural first and use it as a backup? Personally, I prefer natural first. If it doesn't work, yes, we have the antibiotics, but don't give the antibiotics just because you don't know what else to do. And that's what I'm trying to change, that perception of think about why you're sick, think about how you can help yourself first, and then use that backup. But definitely, serious illness, doctors are there for a reason, and we need to work together, and that's what I'd like to see in future, that there's more of a coexistence and not a either or.
I wonder though if Jennifer had gone to the doctor for a cough and he said, take these antibiotics, it'll probably clear up in a few days or a couple of weeks, and then she'd also come to you and said, okay, well, this is what he said to me. Would you recommend then a homeopathic treatment as well as the antibiotics, or instead of?
Again, it depends. If someone is close to a bronchitis or pneumonia, or has that history of weakness, and I actually have had someone who was very close to pneumonia, and she didn't want to take the antibiotics, and I said, go to the doctor, get your prescription, and then you've got them. We'll give this one remedy a go. If it doesn't work within a few hours, then you have your antibiotics, and then go with it. Well, luckily it was the right remedy. She took it, and it cleared just as quickly as your cough.
Really?
And she said, this is amazing, because I've had pneumonia 3 times in my life, and this is exactly where I was heading. And she took the remedy. It was actually phosphorus from your first aid kit. So there you go.
Look at that, eh?
And
she's never had pneumonia again?
No, well, that's actually 2 years ago, and no, she hasn't.
Wow.
So there you go.
Just about running out of time, I just wonder, Jennifer, how would you rate homeopathy, first of all, out of 10 as a course of treatment for whatever might ail you?
I have to say 10.
Wow, 10. There's nowhere to go. How would you rate Heidi?
And we did not bribe her, did we?
No.
You did tell me this was your sister.
No.
And how would you rate your experience with Heidi?
10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's great, isn't it, Heidi?
Oh, well, I'd say so, yeah.
Now, before we let you go, we want to talk about your business for a couple of minutes. Jennifer, you make pearls. Well, you don't make pearls, but you do things with pearls.
Yeah, God makes the pearls, and I just put them together. So I had started the business in the Fiji Islands, and I sell to over a dozen resorts in Fiji. I still have that business there, so I go back and forth every couple of months. And here I show the pearls in the Women's Lifestyle Expos. I'll be at the Women's Expo here in Hawke's Bay in November. And I go to different Christmas craft fairs around the country. This is a sort of a season for me that I'm coming into. I have over 300 color shapes and sizes of pearls, and I custom design and handcraft each piece for each client. So you can pick a strand out of my cabinet and say, I would like it to be this length, and I have about 150 clasps. You choose the clasp, and I make it happen for you.
Wow. How do people get hold of you to do that?
Well, my website's not up at the moment, but I'm on Facebook. Or you can call me. Do I give you my phone
absolutely,
number? Yeah, I'm on 027-452-0911. And but Facebook is probably the easiest if people have Facebook, and you can just send me a message there.
Yeah. What's your Facebook page called?
Jennifer Heath Pearls.
Jennifer Heath Pearls. And Heidi, we want to come and see you for some homeopathic remedies.
Yes, so it's Thrive Homeopathy, and I have a Facebook and I have a website, so you can check out there. And contact number is 021-3352-33.
Now, before we get to your quote for the day, you've chosen a song. What is it?
Well, Huey Lewis in the News, I Want a New Drug.
Perfect.
And what's the thought for the week?
Well, I'd say for the week, genetics load the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger, and it's up to us to not pull that trigger.
Heidi, as always, a pleasure. Jennifer, thanks for coming in with Heidi, and
Yes,
we look
thank
forward
you.
to talking to you again in the near future.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.